God. Talk to him every day.
We are back live, coming up in about 25 minutes.
I go to court when I
1,270 architects, engineers reveal hard evidence of explosive demolition at World Trade Centers on 9/11. Richard Gage, founder and head of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, will be joining us in the third hour. We're going to have wide open phones and a blitzkrieg of news. But let me start getting into some news right now. And a lot of this is mixed together. There's police state in all my stacks. I've got the economic news. I've got it all here. But first, let me basically state where I'm at on the mosque and on the Burn the Quran Day. At my instinctive base level, if anybody is violent to anyone burning a Quran, I'm not a coward, and my instinct is to burn a whole box of them. I'm going to be honest with you right now. Okay? Now, I supported Muslims' right to have that mosque down there at Ground Zero. Okay, this is the United States. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion. And the media is having this national debate about maybe we shouldn't let the pastor do this. If they stop him, we've given in to intimidation by radical Muslims. Okay? Now, 9/11 was staged, ladies and gentlemen. Many of the radical Muslim groups out there are CIA funded, like the Taliban. That's on record. And I want Muslims to live in peace. I want Muslims to not have their countries invaded and 1 million Iraqis to be killed. And depleted uranium, to be used all over the country. But it's very simple. If you've got your right to that mosque, then if somebody wants to be disrespectful, and I don't agree with it or like it, and burn your holy book, then you have to criticize them, speak out against them, say whatever you want about them, but you have no right to threaten to kill them or to stage terror attacks. And the globalists are orchestrating this, they're promoting it, they're hyping it to get everybody at each other's throats, just like it came out that well-known CIA-connected publications 3 years ago ran the Prophet Muhammad with his turban as a bomb stories. And Muslims did riot all over France, all over other countries, and that was used to crack down on Muslims. Now, if you want to be stupid and play into this, go ahead. But I will tell you this. My instinct is, if the government started arresting people for burning American flags, I would never burn an American flag unless they started arresting people for it. And then I'd say, because this flag symbolizes the Bill of Rights and Constitution, that's why we revere it. It symbolizes what our forefathers fought for. I am forced to burn this flag. I don't like it, but it's almost like when a flag's tattered and old. There's a way to get rid of it. That's in the flag code. This is incredible. I mean, it's not a popular stance on talk radio, which is predominantly mainline conservative, to come out and say, I support their right to build that mosque. But I have to, or there's no property rights, there's no free speech, no right of religion. And it's the same thing with burning the Quran. I don't like it. I mean, that's bad mojo. It's bad luck, whatever you want to call it. I'm against it. But we have reports that I'm looking into out of Associated Content and others. Christians in Gaza fear for their lives as Muslims burn Bibles and destroy crosses. And it looks like this is really going on. And see, I mean, that's what the Muslims are doing in Sudan, blowing up churches, bombing them. They've got an air force. You hear our media really promoting that? That's wrong, and that needs to be decried. That needs to be criticized. The globalists are orchestrating this clash of civilizations. So it's okay to burn the Bible, you just don't burn the Quran. Now, what does that really say at the end of the day? I mean, if Muslims are really for the freedom of the United States, the Bill of Rights and Constitution, then they should be free under the First Amendment to criticize and to say whatever they want. And if they wanted to go to that event and burn Bibles right alongside it, it's a stupid idea. I'm against it. Not just as a Christian, but as someone who supports freedom of religion. But you know what? They shouldn't be arrested if they burn Bibles. And they shouldn't be arrested if they burn Qurans. But this whole thing is being promoted by the Washington Post, the New York Times, in the last 3 weeks to create this division and to create a further clash of civilizations. And so if it gets burned, I mean, are Muslims going to come out like they did in Europe and burn down buildings and attack police and play right in to the globalist plan? I also don't like the fact that the FBI has gone now 3 times to this church in Florida, and right after they went through the third time, or no, that was the second, now they've been back again, they came out and announced, I've talked to the imam, they're not going to have the Ground Zero Mosque anymore, and so I'm going to back off. And then the imam came out and said, well, I didn't really say that, which I don't tend to really believe. I don't think the pastor would come out if he hadn't been led to believe that. And so now, here's another example. The ISP, the Internet Service Provider for the church, the Christian church, took their website down and said, because it's hate speech. See, now you can't have a website because it's hate speech. In England, a guy had a ringtone from a movie where the guy said, I'm not a Paki. Or I'm a Paki, what's wrong with that? Which I guess is some racial slur towards Pakistanis. And he was arrested in England. Remember the BBC news reporter who went and gave a speech and said rural communities deserve the same rights as homosexuals and Muslims? They arrested him saying the word homosexual is hurtful. They know the public's so ignorant that the word homosexual or heterosexual, I guess, is bad. The word Caucasian or Negro is supposedly bad. When those are just scientific names. It'd be like if I called a dog a canine and somebody didn't know what that meant. They said that's a racial slang towards a dog. You're going to be arrested for calling a dog a canine or a cat a feline. Or I guess if you called a pig a porcine. Or if you called a cow a bovine, you're going to be arrested. I mean, this is the level of thought police control going on. So later in the next hour, we're going to have nothing but phone calls. I want to get your take on this because I'm not saying I'm going to go out and burn a Koran. I don't do just pure stunts like that. It's just at an instinctive level. If they do start arresting Americans for burning Korans, next you won't be able to even criticize a politician because they'll say, oh, this is disruptive, this is hurtful, you can't yell fire in a theater. That's not yelling fire in a theater. That's what this country is based on, is the right. Here's an example of, it's got to be 10 years ago. We had a Burn the UN Flag Day, and I did it down at the Capitol. And they tried to get the police to arrest me for it, but they refused. And so the local news shot video the same day at another location of a guy who hated me burning an American flag. And they cut in to the newscast and basically implied that I had burned an American flag, and I got a bunch of hate mail over it. I burned the United Nations flag because it's a symbol of tyranny and corruption and dehumanization and eugenics. So next, are they going to ban burning the UN flag because it's hurtful to the 170-something member nations to the United Nations? Yep, there's the video. That was another event where they had a burn ban on, so I couldn't burn it. And so I cut it up with a knife. I was in pretty good shape then. That's what happens when you lift weights 2 hours a day or jog 6 miles every other day. But they're showing video for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. You can just search the term Alex Jones burns a UN flag, Alex Jones destroys UN flag, if you want to watch the full video from, that's actually 11 or 12 years ago now that I see the video. I burned the UN flag a couple times 12 years ago, and then 11 years ago I sliced it up because they had a burn ban. But side issue, this is political correctness, and it's what's destroying our nation. And political correctness, 6 months ago, 8 students were sent home from the San Francisco middle school, 5 of them Hispanic, over 1,000 people in the school, and most of them weren't even there wearing American flags because it was Cinco de Mayo. American flag shirts are popular. One of them was an Old Navy shirt, and the illegal aliens in the school, in the sanctuary city, were so offended by the American flag in America that the students were sent home. And then there's video of other students driving around days later with American flags flying from their cars and the illegals cussing at them, yelling at them, starting fights with them. Because, well, I mean, here's an example. There was a national cartoon. In fact, guys, print this for me. I think I IM'd it to you. I haven't seen it in my stack. Maybe it's here. There was a national cartoon showing the Mexican eagle on the Mexican flag shot by drug gangs, laying dead with bullet holes in it. And the national government of Mexico has gotten angry and is complaining about it. They're not worried about tens of thousands dying every year. They're not worried about their country collapsing. It's that nationalism of you don't, which wasn't even about Mexico or the flag itself being bad. It was about the countries being killed by the drug war. And they're demanding that this cartoon not be run. We're being intimidated. You know, that's why I supported a few months ago artists worldwide doing cartoons about Islam. Because they've been threatened with death if they do. And if we give in to that mafia threat, that's the end of free speech. Don't you understand the globalists bring in all these foreigners, they bring in all these diverse groups, they hype us all up to hate each other, and then the globalists play the part of the referee over all of this and say, well, so that there's peace with everyone, you don't have any free speech, any of you. Or they selectively allow certain groups to have free speech, but others can't. So, I'll wear an American flag if I want. Okay? If you don't like it, leave. And if you don't like somebody's right to burn a Bible, an American flag, or a Koran, get out of the country. Go back to Saudi Arabia.